If you asked a Zombies player what their favorite map or Easter egg is, I'd be willing to bet that most of them would respond with Origins, and rightfully so. To this day, this map has one of the most engaging and replayable Easter eggs that Treyarch has ever developed. But personally, I've always had a huge issue with this Easter egg. Step 2, Ascend from Darkness, is, in my opinion, one of the worst Easter egg steps of all time. Seriously. This step requires you to put each staff into their respective robots one by one. And I understand this egg wasn't meant for solo, but having to hold a random staff to wait for robots on 2-minute intervals just to maybe get the robot you want is awful. But if any of you have done this Easter egg on BO2, you're probably thinking to yourself, why don't you just do the fire staff glitch? And you're right. This step has a massive skip that people have been doing ever since the map dropped in 2012. It consists of you placing the fire staff in its pedestal at the bottom of the mound, picking up a new fire staff from its original holder, and repeating the process over and over until the step finishes. What's happening here is that Treyarch didn't actually write anything in to ensure that the player had put each staff in the correct holder, so the code just checks how many staffs have been placed in one pedestal. So by repeatedly placing fire staffs in the bottom pedestal, it increases the staff count over and over until you hit 4, and then the step just completes. A pretty major oversight which completely changes how the Easter egg plays and filters out a pretty tedious step. But surely if they were ever to remake this map for another game in the future, they'd learn from their lesson and rewrite how the step works to avoid any exploits. Right? No. They didn't. Well, they almost did. When Origins was remastered in Black Ops 3 through Zombies Chronicles, instead of rewriting the code for the Easter egg step, they just stopped the player from being able to grab a staff from its original holder after being placed in one of the pedestals. This should have been in the Black Ops 2 version, and actually does a decent job at keeping the player from skipping most of this step. So for solo players, it was back to waiting for robots. But co-op players weren't completely out of luck. If, in theory, the game still adds the same staff to the total counter for this step, but we can't keep pulling fire staffs from its holster, surely there has to be another way to exploit this. What if we just tried to pick it up at the same time? Oh. Okay. It turns out, if multiple players interact with the fire staff at the exact same time, it duplicates the staff, and lets everyone place it in the mound pedestal to increase the staff counter. On 4-player runs, this means that all 4 players can duplicate the fire staff and complete the step instantly. This was discovered in around a month after the map launched, but only started being used in speedruns around 2020. Before this discovery, the speedrun sat around 24 minutes, but now with the addition of the skip and a few other route optimizations, the record is now in 1952. Sadly, solo players are still stuck waiting for robots on this step. The holy grail of the speedrun would remain undiscovered, and the record would sit around 42 minutes, while the BO2 run reached 39 minutes shortly after. It was around this time that people started experimenting, and something interesting was discovered. A glitch involving the self-medication gobblegum had existed for a while at this point, where some players had been able to duplicate certain wonder weapons by doing very specific actions. For those who might not know, this gobblegum gives you a ray gun if you end up going down, and if you get a kill while downed, the gun will revive you and use up one of its charges. The issue at this point was that in 2022, this gobblegum was actually banned by ZWR, the main record hosting website. The only reason that this gun was banned was because high rounders thought they were too powerful in high round runs, and they originally wrote the rules for the site, and many of them applied to speedruns. Most of these rules were annoying for speedrunning, and eventually votes were held to reverse some of the older rules that made no sense for speedrunning. Self-med was then unbanned, which allowed speedrunners to use the gum in their runs. Then, around July of 2022, a runner known as Adil figured out how to use self-medication to hold multiple staffs. Runners then routed this in by filling all 4 staffs, then taking the wind staff as their meal kick weapon, letting the zombie kill them, taking the fire staff, placing wind after the fire staff is held out, buying the Vesper off the wall, then dying again, taking the ice staff once revived, and then holding the Vesper out again. This combination of actions would end up with the player having the Ice Staff and the Fire Staff at the exact same time, because the gum's interaction with Quick Revive and Mule Kick would cause the game to mix up the player's weapons. This would allow runners to save a good bit of time, allowing the record to reach below 40 minutes, after Scotty Dogs achieved a time of 39 minutes and 49 seconds. For a while, these two glitches were all that players had to exploit this step, which made it really hard for solo players to improve records, as the RNG required was still ridiculous. The dream scenario is if someone could figure out a way to use self-medication to duplicate staffs so that good robot cycles are no longer required. But time kept going on, and no new strats were being discovered. Until...
changes things for the better. At least I'm still in one piece.
Wait, what? Did I not put it in? Oh, cool. I didn't want to have to worry about that. This is the most scuffed zombies run I've ever been on. Wait, what?
Guess this has been running on autopilot ever since the crew were killed.
Okay. Interesting. It was already there? Huh? Because I think I may have just found a new strat. Imagine if I actually did it. Hold up. Oh my god, it's a new strat!
I'm not safe here. You have to hurry. Only the giants can break the seal.
Wait a minute, I think did I just discover a new strat? Wait, did I actually just discover a new strat?
A runner known by Psipherr was doing some runs when he accidentally downed early while waiting to place the Ice Staff in the church robot. Unbeknownst to him, he had just discovered a brand new strategy. By downing with self-medication and placing the staff in the robot quickly, Psipherr ended up accidentally duplicating the Ice Staff. This allowed him to place 2 Ice Staffs in one robot, and then finishing the step by placing the Fire Staff in the mount. He instantly knew that he had just discovered something insane, so quickly took to Twitter to show off his findings. And upon seeing this, the zombie speedrunning community were astonished. The tweet instantly gained traction and began to be seen by nearly every top runner in the community. This discovery was completely groundbreaking, and everyone knew that it was the next step towards completely shattering records on this map. As soon as experienced runners learned about this glitch, the routes began to be constructed. Within a week of this tweet being posted, a route had already been devised to use this trick with the Fire Staff, which nearly completely replicated the original glitch from Black Ops 2. Runners started combining the original strategy of holding multiple staffs with the new glitch taking place by the Fire Staff pedestal, but over the coming weeks the strategy evolved to taking place entirely at the bottom of the mound. So now that we know that this is possible, it's time to dive into what exactly enables this to happen in the first place, and it's actually a somewhat simple concept. The combination of self-medication, Mule Kick, and Quick Revive allows the staff duplication to take place. The key interaction between these goes something like this. Make sure you have a Mule Kick weapon. When you down, you get a kill with the self-medication gum, which revives you. This retains all your perks, including Quick Revive and Mule Kick. Because you have Quick Revive, the game is trying to revive you since you downed earlier, but we don't need to be revived, since self-medication already revived us. The game doesn't quite understand that though, and still acts as if you're currently downed, so zombies won't attack you. What the game does understand is that since we use self-med, we should keep our perks, including Mule Kick, as well as the Mule Kick weapon. The issue here is that Quick Revive also wants to return the Mule Kick weapon to us, and is still actively quote-unquote reviving you in the background. But because self-medication already returned the Mule Kick weapon back to us, we're able to exploit this. Since self-med already returned the Mule Kick weapon, we can trick Quick Revive into giving back a second copy of the Mule Kick weapon that we downed with. If you end up replacing your previous Mule Kick weapon with a new one, and then proceed to hold out a different gun before QR revives you, your first Mule Kick weapon is then returned to you, replacing the weapon you are currently holding out. This can get the player to hold 2 different staffs at once, but here's how speedrunners use it to skip Ascend from Darkness. The first fire staff is placed in the mound pedestal, and the ice staff is picked up so that it can be duped and held at the same time as another staff. Then, you take it down to initiate the glitch. You then revive yourself with self-medication, and swap out your ice staff for the fire staff to hold both at the same time. This is possible because earlier in the run, speedrunners started to use self-med to hold multiple unupgraded staffs, and during this process, they actually managed to duplicate a fire staff, which sends it back to its holder while you're still carrying one. This is where the game starts freaking out. Remember that Quick Revive is also reviving us in the background, so the ice staff replaces the currently held out weapon, allowing us to hold both staffs at the same time. With the fire staff as our new mule kick weapon, we down again. Once revived, we can place the returned fire staff in the pedestal to increase the counter to 2. The game repeats its mistake, and once Quick Revive is done reviving us, it returns another fire staff to our inventory, so we can place another one, take another down, and then place a final fire staff once it's returned to us again. Once 4 fire staffs are placed in the mound pedestal, Ascent from Darkness is completed without needing any robots, nearly replicating the exact same trick from Black Ops 2. Once this trick was fully figured out, the floodgates had opened, and new records instantly came flying in. Just 5 days after Psipherr posted his discovery on Twitter, Freckleston achieved a brand new record of 39 minutes and 21 seconds using the strategy. For the following months, the record had been taken down minute by minute, catching quicker rainfire cycles each time, while incorporating other self-med tricks throughout the run. Over the coming years, these discoveries led to the Megas record to come down to a staggering 31 minutes and 26 seconds by Cloudy MJ, shaving over 8 entire minutes off of the pre-staff dupe record, and also beating the current Black Ops 2 record by over 4 minutes. As I was editing this video, Aiden Ross actually managed to achieve a 30:49 on the map, which is actually insane. It just goes to show how far this strategy has pushed this map's time. For years, players had yearned for a way to skip this step just like they did back in Black Ops 2. And for years, they had been left empty-handed. But in the end, all it took were some insane circumstances that led to the biggest Easter egg skip in the entirety of Black Ops 3. This had actually impacted people's opinions on the Chronicles version of this map, and many people, myself included, felt like trying this Easter egg on BO3 was a waste of time, since you could just skip nearly 6 minutes of waiting if you just played on the Black Ops 2 version. But this all changed overnight with Psipherr's Discovery, and today the BO3 version is a much more enjoyable experience with the skip being introduced. This trick really seemed like the missing link that the map needed for it to become a regularly ran map, next to all the other GOATs. Next time you play this map, consider giving this trick a shot, as it could save you a good amount of time. I'll leave a link to a very good tutorial on this trick, made by Freckleston. This is one of my favorite strat discoveries in all of speedrunning, and can be added to the list of insane time saves that were discovered on complete accident. Stories like this can just show how little people truly know or understand about the games that they have spent years playing, and explains why some games can be played for thousands and thousands of hours, while still staying competitive. If there's anything you think I missed about this, please let me know in the comments. There's quite a few more undocumented discoveries and tricks left to cover, so stay tuned for more in the future. And thank you for watching.